The Hempfest is a bust in Davenport as police move in and shut down Credit Island Park after some marijuana supporters light up. Good evening, that's our cover story tonight. The Hempfest goes up in smoke. This is Steve Smith reporting. Thanks so much for joining us. All week long, Davenport police have been saying they would enforce the law if marijuana smokers started puffing during the Hempfest. And true to their word, they moved in when festival goers started lighting up the weed. The result was a complete shutdown of the fest on Credit Island. Access to Credit Island Park was shut off this afternoon after things got a little out of hand at the Hempfest. Davenport Police Chief Steve Lynn explains.
We had some arrest teams. They moved in to make a marijuana possession arrest. One officer was injured, major leg injury, it sounds like at this point.
Was he shot?
No. I don't know how the injury occurred, but he wasn't shot. While they were attending to the officer and trying to move the arrestees out, the crowd moved in on them, shouting some expletives and tried to overcome the officers. At that point, we had to use capstun.
Hempfest goers like Rick Ray, who came from Cedar Falls, says it was supposed to be a peaceful gathering, but he doesn't deny that some people were taking a toke of Mary Jane.
People broke the law when they smoked marijuana, and cops took them and shoved them into the ground. And that made people angry, so they started yelling, and next thing you know, they brought out the mace.
I got maced in my eyes. I couldn't see for about 10 minutes.
It's unlikely a Hempfest will be held in Davenport again, but that's what police thought 3 years ago. Only this time, Hempfest was shut down and locked out.
The sights and sounds of a near riot brings the annual Hempfest on Davenport's Credit Island to a sudden close. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A Davenport police officer is in the hospital tonight after a near riot shut down the annual Hempfest on Credit Island. Catherine Kerr was there as the island was being evacuated and joins us now with details. Catherine?
Jim, Hempfest started at noon today. It was supposed to run through 8 o'clock tonight, but a sudden turn of events changed everything.
Two people peacefully smoking one marijuana cigarette. And what happened was the mace cans came out and pregnant women and children were maced today, right here in Davenport.
You all right?
Are you okay?
Police took every precaution, but suddenly a simple drug arrest takes a turn for the worst.
One officer was injured, and the crowd tried to overcome the arrest team. At that point, we had to move in and close down the Hempfest.
Hempfest is over! No!
Just as quickly as the booths went up, they went right back down. Police shut down the Hempfest a little over an hour after it started. Slowly and not so willingly, over 200 people were driven from the island. Close to 50 law enforcement officials were there to see them out.
Park is closed. You've been asked to leave.
They were macing kids and pregnant women.
If it happened to them, it's unfortunate, but if they would have used better judgment, it wouldn't have happened to them.
With 6 hours to go before Hempfest was supposed to be over, the island is empty. To police, a job well done.
There's no such thing as a free day for drug use and abuse. To not do anything would be to condone drug use, and we certainly don't do that.
The name of the officer injured in today's incident is not being released, but we do know he is a 36-year-old, 16-year veteran of the Davenport Police Department. I'm told that he will undergo surgery on his leg for a very serious injury. As far as arrests go, 33 people were arrested today. Charges range from assault to possession to interference with official acts.
Was the organizer one of those arrested?
Yes, I was told that he was one of those that was arrested today. He was.
Were there any other problems once police got everything under control?
No, actually, after they got things under control, people tried to move the whole Hempfest to Middle Park, but that didn't last for very long.
Good. Thank you very much, Catherine. A federal grand jury in Cedar 6.
Good evening, I'm Scott Sander. A near riot at Credit Island Park in Scott County today as police tangle with marijuana use supporters. One police officer was hurt and people in the crowd were maced as authorities tried to bring this year's Hempfest to a peaceful close. KWQC's Greg Elder was out there. Joins us now with more on the story. How'd things get out of hand out there?
Police say they were just trying to arrest some folks for using marijuana, Scott, when the crowd began to turn on them. But Hempfest goers say it was police who went way too far when they began spraying the crowd with mace.
We have a right to be here. Spraying kids? We have a right to be here.
Hempfest 96, a bust as authorities direct the more than 200 festival goers out of the park. Police say during a marijuana arrest, some of the crowd went crazy and pepper spray had to be used to bring them under control.
They started macing everybody. I mean, the little kids, pregnant women. I mean, people that shouldn't even been, maced in that. It's not right.
One officer was injured in the disturbance. Another reason police say mace was used to calm the rowdy crowd.
It's unfortunate, but if they were at the forefront of trying to take the prisoners away, why, a young 12-year-old can be just as dangerous to the officer as an adult.
There were no problems until the police officers jumped on people for smoking one cannabis cigarette. That's what happened. This was all over one cannabis cigarette. And we have at least 30 police officers here. We have a cop with a broken leg. We have people arrested, and we have a guy with a broken nose. And there was no need.
Police say the officer heard did have a serious injury to his knee. He's being treated at an area hospital. His name won't be released because he's an undercover officer. Police also say, given the circumstances, they feel they responded appropriately. More than 30 arrests today, Scott.
This is an annual event. It's not the first time they've had some problems, is it?
There have been 4 in the QCA, and police say every time it's gotten to a near riot situation. Apparently, because of their history, they shouldn't have got a permit, but to circumvent that, they got a small pavilion like a family would get for a reunion, so they had no trouble getting in.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much.
News at 10.
A Davenport police officer is hurt as a festival to celebrate marijuana use escalates to what police call a near riot. That story tops our first 6 minutes tonight. Police say they were making some arrests for marijuana use when members of the crowd started to get out of hand at the annual Hempfest. KWQC TV6's Greg Elder was at the event, joins us now. How badly was the officer hurt?
Pretty serious, Scott. His leg was broken at the knee, and I understand he may have to undergo surgery. Hempfest 96 resembled a mob scene today as police say a pot bust angers the crowd into a frenzy. Much criticism tonight from festival goers who say police overreacted when officers pulled out their mace. Confusion and compassion. This woman in search of her child was spared from a spray of mace, but others weren't so lucky.
And they started macing everybody. I mean, the little kids, pregnant women. I mean, people that shouldn't even been, maced in that. It's not right.
They moved in, made a couple of arrests. In the process, the crowd tried to overcome the arresting officers. We had to use capstun to drive the crowd back.
That guy must have got snacked pretty good. He was hurting.
An officer taken down during the disturbance only added to the anxiety. Police say they're not sure how it all happened. The ruckus ended with 33 arrests varying from civil disturbance to possession of a controlled substance, and with a number of festival goers being escorted, in many cases unwillingly, off Credit Island Park.
We have a right to be here.
There were no problems until the police officers jumped on people for smoking one cannabis cigarette. That's what happened. This was all over one cannabis cigarette. And we have at least 30 police officers here. We have a cop with a broken leg. We have people arrested, and we have a guy with a broken nose. And there was no need.
Police say they believe, given the circumstances, they responded appropriately. Officers say even a 12-year-old can be a threat, and that mace, while it does cause eye burning, will not cause any health threats, Scott.
We've seen Hempfest in our area before. Is there a police history with them?
There absolutely is. This is the 4th one in our area, and police say everyone has ended in a near riot situation.
Greg, thank you.
Are you tired of men with black hoods over their heads, busting down your door, pointing guns in your face, tearing your house apart, and taking your property? The Quad City Hemp Coalition, a local group of freedom fighters, is working to end this insanity. Speakers, vendors, and musicians coming together to defend your right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Every 2 minutes, an American is arrested for marijuana. 500,000 people a year have their lives disrupted by an authority out to deprive them of their liberty and property. California alone has saved an estimated $90 million a year by decriminalizing marijuana. Nationwide, Billions of dollars a year are wasted persecuting peaceful smokers of the herb. Before you and your family have their lives ruined by these bad laws, speak out and demand an end to this insanity. Call your state lawmakers today.